Hello, gorgeous Taurus clan. Ooh, do we have a powerful month for you? Is it ever not powerful with Taurus? I don't know. I feel like you all have been on kind of a high impact circuit for several months, definitely since your birthdays. So the last 6 months have been kind of profound. Um, yeah. And of course, we're in Scorpio season in November. So you know what I call this? I nickname it mirror season whenever the sun is in our opposing sign. We are having this ability to kind of see our journey and our path from that alternative perspective and to get that connective kind of full circle thing going on when we have that oppositional, when we're right halfway across the sky from you guys during your birthday. And so Scorpio season is already super impactful for Taurus. And then, of course, in this November, we are going to have a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. So that begins on Halloween and it goes until November 18th. Basically, most of Scorpio season is this Mercury retrograde. And Mercury retrogrades in water signs, I can't say this enough, do something different than Mercury retrogrades in other signs. And if you're interested in learning more about that, I will have the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio discussion up on my Patreon. So if you're interested in joining me over there, not only will you get that video, but you'll get all the extras, including the weekly write-ups, behind the scenes, story time with me. We have so much fun over there. So if you're interested in learning more about this transit and how it works, the logic of it, that's where that info will be. But for you guys specifically, that ties into your oppositional sign, which means it ties into your relationships. It ties into the way you relate, the way you give to others, where you have codependency, where you have fears, where you have styles of constant detachment or pushing people away. And we all have places where we feel getting subsumed by another or where we fear being abandoned by another. All of us have some aspect of that deep down within us. Now, some of us have worked with that a lot and we can move through the world without it causing too many ripples. And some of us, and depending on where we are in our lives, that has been something that's affected us in different ways. However you are working with this and wherever you are on your journey within relationships, those close one-on-one relationships, this Mercury retrograde is going to have you doing some workshopping with that, doing some healing with that, checking in with where you're afraid of being subsumed or where you're afraid of being abandoned, where you're afraid of being vulnerable or where you're afraid that you've been too vulnerable, and where you don't want to give anymore. And so, like I said, that's going to affect each of you differently. However, this Mercury retrograde has a bit of a deeper impact on you than it will on a lot of other signs. So just a heads up that where you maybe felt some pain around relationship, this is going to be a time where you are getting to workshop that. Now, I don't want you to go into this Mercury retrograde feeling afraid or like I've just set this up to be like this month of pain. It's not like that. The thing with November, and this is the thing to keep in mind about November, is the logic of it is unique. It is going to feel like answers are slow in coming in, like nothing's moving, like you have to just slow down and take care of yourself and nurture yourself and be all soft and mysterious. And yet, what's really going on is huge expansion, big agreements, big new beginnings, big bold conversations happening. Now, we have that Mercury retrograde going on. We have the sun in Scorpio. We have a lot of that scorpionic energy in the sky, and we have your Taurus full moon on November 12th. And there's where that clarity, that crispness, you can see how Mercury retrograde in your opposing sign, and then your full moon in the middle of it. How it's really that you are that full moon, you are that full vision, you are that full empowered energetic source, and anything that's going on around you doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's all happening. And then, of course, as Scorpio season ends and we go through your whole mirror season, your whole relational workshopping for the month, then we move into Sagittarius, which is your 8th house of transformation. So let's take it into a deeper level, right? Let's take it in even one level deeper and start to look at where we want to transform, where we want to be reborn, rebirthed into new versions of ourselves, right? And there's the sun moving into Sagittarius, Venus will be in Sagittarius, there's a new moon in Sagittarius on the 26th, the Tower. What did I say about this being a workshopping, cleansing, healing time for you with that Mercury retrograde? It is. It is. And I love the Tower because it is a cleanser. It is a cleanser. I mean, it's really as simple as Knight of Cups. Ooh, there's another card behind it too. Knight of Cups, Ace of Swords. Okay, look how that works. Yeah. Yeah. Clear the space. Welcome the new. Tower works much more simply and a lot less painfully than I think sometimes it gets a reputation to. It's kind of like if you had a whole bunch of dirt on your hands from gardening, right? You're out in the garden, you've been planting all these beautiful plants, weeding, maybe you even cut yourself a little bit, you know, some really sharp thorns got through your gloves. Five of Swords. Boundaries, self-trust. These are all themes that are coming up for my Taurus clan. The Fool. Yes. The Fool is so your emblem. You've been getting the Fool energy like nobody's business recently. I don't know if you've noticed, but that's just your vibe right now. And then you come inside, and it's no longer gardening time. You want to cook a meal, or you want to read a book. And so you wash your hands in the sink. Right? Because you don't feel like having grains of dirt in your meal. You don't feel like smudging up your beautiful books. So you wash your hands. I think sometimes, you know, we think that just letting that one phase go has to involve judgment and pain and looking back and analyzing. And there is a point when Two of Wands. I love the Fool and Two of Wands together. Forward vision, visionary, open heart. We feel we have to give a value to why we had to go back and learn that lesson, or why we chose to go on this path and not that path. And, you know, 2 years ago or 6 months ago, why did we do it this way? Why does it have to be that way? And this month is going to be really crisp and simple. It's going to lay it out for you and be like, look, you cannot wash your hands. You can leave the dirt on your hands. Three of Swords. That card's been coming up this month too, and that is because this Mercury retrograde is having us sit with pain points, not to relive them, but when we're growing, when we're changing, guess what? Old fear wants to come in and save us, and that is just one of those things that happen. Like I told you, Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, this is like, it works really differently than Mercury retrograde in fire signs, earth signs, air signs. It takes us to emotive places. So, and your card, the Hierophant. There it is. Okay. You know, we want to make it more complex than just letting it wash away. And that's what the Tower is here to do. So, this is a month of big, bold, new beginnings. We often can't. We just cannot welcome in the next new good thing unless we have cleared, right? It's really, energetically speaking, there's a lot of great parallels in our physical world that we can use to talk about Tower energy. And Tower gets more and more destructive the more we don't listen to our soul, our wild soul voice, telling us what we need. It only gets to the destructive point when we've pushed it down so hard that it has to cause something to trigger. The Tower can actually be quite subtle and gentle if we're listening in. So depending on what your process is here, you know, it's going to be very personal for you. But energetically speaking, you know, it's like washing your hands in the sink so that you can start cooking a meal, or putting on a cute outfit, or reading a book, or doing any other number of activities that aren't gardening. But you can also think about it like if you have a tiny closet, right? You have a closet and you want to just have things in there you love, but you never throw away the dingy, torn shirts. You know, the shirts from when you were in love with that boyfriend who didn't treat you very good, but he was so cute. Oh, if I get rid of this shirt, I'll never remember him, right? And so As long as you have that shirt in that closet, guess what? That beautiful sweater that makes you feel held and safe and pulled together won't ever fit in there, right? And of course, that's not a great metaphor in the sense that energetically speaking, there's no cap. We don't live in a little closet. We're not supposed to live in a little closet. But the point being that it's like a little force field that you put around yourself when you hold on, right? So the Tower comes in to give us like a rainstorm. It's like a really good thunderstorm after a really long, hot, dry few weeks. And it breaks open, all the dust clears out of the air, and you can see. Now for you, there's some kind of ritual release, and this Mercury retrograde, I think, will do that. Also your full moon in Taurus. Look what it brings in, though. What are you creating space for? Well, belief in truth, love, and beauty. Clear, direct communication. Good conversations. Consistency. Directness. I mean, direct. This is direct energy. Yes, some of you may be connecting with somebody new, right? This energy, this mirror season energy, the 7th house energy does tend to amplify our relationship sector and get us connected in. So a lot of you are going to be noticing relationships are a big theme for you during Scorpio season. But the key things with Knight of Cups and Ace of Swords is about clarity. It's about juicy goodness. It's not about game playing. It's not about distrust. It's not about going around in circles and wondering. You know, there's this really great Instagram account called We're Not Really Strangers. I'm sure some of you follow her. And she has this really great one that's, I think it says like, people who make me feel like, and then it's got like 3 question marks and an exclamation point and more question marks. Those people aren't for me. And I think that's to the point, right? Like people who make you constantly sit there and wonder, oh, should I not? It's not good. You know, you want the clarity here. Now, there is a 5 of Swords in here. And this is where the Tower comes in. And I want you to look at the contrast between the Tower, the Knight of Cups, the Ace of Swords in the middle, and then the 5 of Swords, right? Those 2 cards in the middle are all about clarity, forthrightness, openness, kindness. And the 2 on the ends are about challenge, contrast, right? There is an fundamental energetic difference between those 2. And we're getting to the point now where you all know. You all know what each of those states feels like, right? And you know immediately when you're around 5 of Swords, and when you're around Ace of Swords. 5 of Swords, I often equate with our self-trust. When we don't have self-trust, when we haven't acknowledged what we really need to feel safe, to feel happy, to feel healthy, we put ourselves in situations that make us look over our shoulder and question other people. And we can put ourselves in situations that allow others to kind of walk over us. But when we really know what we want, those situations can't arise. But 5 of Swords will challenge you to make sure that you're doing that. Now, the thing is that you are on this track right here, right? You're on the Fool 2 of Wands track. And the Fool 2 of Wands track is not about looking back. It's not about repeating stuff. It's not about analyzing stuff. No. The Fool and the 2 of Wands is about vision. It's about taking off the limitations. I was thinking about the word luck in English today. It was coming up when I was thinking about you all in abundance and how you're tied to the Empress and the Hierophant and all these beautiful abundance cards about birth and growth and connectedness and earthiness and all that good stuff. And I was thinking about the word luck because the root has to do with joy. It's a Germanic word. And then I had to like look it up because I was thinking about the word for happiness, and in Germanic languages, almost all the Germanic languages have a version of luck as like, well, luck is the version of the happiness words in Germanic languages. Point being, then I had to look into the etymology of this word, and it came into English probably in the 15th century as a gambling term, but the root of it is joy and well-being, right? So luck, that concept of luck, is really deeply tied to well-being, to feeling well, to feeling like these cards. It's not about things just happening to work out, right? It's about there being a sense that I'm lucky, I'm full of joy, joyful. And the Fool and the Two of Wands have everything to do with that. All those little containers that maybe you were in past times, they don't apply anymore. That's not how you're asking questions. That's not how you're connecting in anymore. There's this brand new path leading forward for you. Now, when we open the door to new beginnings, when we're no longer playing the game and the Tower has cleared out any old stagnant energy and we have the space to welcome in the Fool and the Two of Wands, which is all about the good stuff, often there's a little moment where we get to come face to face with the Three of Swords, the thing that did cause us pain in our life, the thing that didn't work for us in our life. There's a moment to reconcile with it. And often the universe will put situations in our life that allow us to kind of tip our hat and walk away with a sense of closure. It's kind of like an Edith Wharton novel, except less depressing. Like often in Edith Wharton novels, the people who love each other, they pass and they brush hands, and it's like an acknowledgement, right? It's kind of like that. Like, I am in a new relationship, and I haven't been saying that, but yes, it's true. And on the way for a trip to go visit that person, I saw my ex from like a year and a half before, and we were like trapped in the same little post-security room. Like we hadn't talked that whole time because I felt at peace with it. I didn't really need to like go back and talk. But it was like this symbolic moment of sitting there with somebody who we had a tough relationship. We had to do a lot of learning together, basically, right? We learned a lot from each other, and we were sitting there together, and we had a really nice talk. We were always respectful of each other. We just had really different needs and desires, and so that's where all the learning came from. But we hadn't talked in a long time because we had both kind of moved into our own paths, but we got to just acknowledge each other, and that's what was happening as I was opening up this next chapter of my life. And that's what the Three of Swords in this context makes me think of. We often get that invitation to just give a closeout to something when we're in the midst of all this brand newness, right? Because what I kind of see here is just this vision of Taurus, of you stepping into your next archetype, right? Meeting your newest version of yourself. And that version just does things differently. You're still learning. You're still figuring out what that version of you does and how they move through the world and what that looks like. But you know that that's where you are. And you can tip your hat. You can acknowledge things that have been, that maybe were beautiful or that were meaningful or that were helpful in your life but no longer serve. And you may be getting moments this month with the Mercury retrograde action, with the mirror season, with the 8th house transits through Sag starting at the end of the month. You may be noticing you're getting little moments of symbolic reconnection to do a tip of the hat, to do a closeout acknowledgement of what has been and how that has served you. I have a few affirmations for you all within that journey, and so here they are. Joy and happiness emanate from me with ease. I trust the waves of clarity that awaken my path and my purpose. I know that the right people will surround me and love me and reflect back all of my growth. That's where we're at. That's where we're at, Taurus fam. That is definitely where we are at. I love it. And it's so great too because Venus, your ruling sign, is moving through Sagittarius most of November, which is 8th house, once again, transformation. So your love language transforming. You're not like the traditional 5 love languages, but like the way you express, give, receive is going through a transformation. And then it moves into Capricorn, which is visionary. It's a big visionary time for you. And it's really not about playing small or playing to old timelines at all anymore. It's just not. It won't fit. You can try. You can try it out as a little experiment and you'll see what I mean. And some of you may. Some of you may try and plug back in and you'll be like, oh, that does not work for me. It's like your palate's completely changed. And now a flavor that once seemed like the thing that you needed to eat is now just like something you would never want to eat again. I think we all have something that we ate too much of one time and now we don't really ever need to eat it again. It's kind of like that. Powerful times, you all. Powerful times. Of course, I'm wearing my favorite Taurus's jewelry, PinkLune. I've got my citrine on and my Herkimer diamond earrings on. So if you're interested in her beautiful work, you can find her Etsy shop in the description box. You can find me on Patreon. Like I said, lots of good extras, including the Scorpio of Mercury retrograde and Scorpio video discussion, weekly discussions. You can also find me on my website, SARAHTAROT.com, or on Instagram at SarahVerba. I would love to see you guys over there. I hope that I do. I am sending you so much luck and joy for November. All my heart is going out to you. I think this is going to be a really powerful, awesome month for you. And I love you so much. Mwah.